Best NFL product I've seen for the money in years.
Right, yeah. Especially the overall value and stuff that like I think is going to
Hmm.
potentially come from this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I wish I had four cases in the closet because that Prism Black stuff's gonna just explode long term. It's really really hot. I like Select because I mean it's a little prettier, I guess.
Yeah.
But Select's almost 2K a box now. You can get more. I mean, you can get over two boxes of Chronicles for that. I like it. Like,
I like the Chronicle stuff better than the Select.
hmm
I mean, with the boxes that you could buy at Target for $20, are those the boxes you're talking about?
no, I'm talking about the hobby boxes are up to
Oh,
2,000.
wow.
Yeah,
That's insane. I mean, I like what comes out of the Chronicles more than I do the Select.
yeah. I mean, it's just a better product overall. Like your yield's better. I mean, some of the breaks we've done, we're sleeving 50, 60 cards. On Select, there's times we're sleeving three.
Yeah.
Uh,
I guess maybe that shows the rarity. I don't know.
I mean, it goes both ways. You know, um, I just really like Chronicles because every pack is fun. You don't know what you're gonna get. With so many products in there. I mean, it's like 11 different products in one. It's pretty cool.
Right. With all that being said, like with the Chronicles and with the Optic and everything that's come out this past year, do you think there's an oversaturation with the cards like that we're seeing, like with Herberts and
No,
no.
I don't because I think we've also brought in so much new blood. The prices are so high. Like stuff is selling so big. A buddy of mine last night ran a break and hit a National Treasures to a 101 rookie patch auto. Big card, really
Wow.
big card.
Right.
And within minutes, he had $30,000 offers. So, I
Jesus.
mean, and that's for Tua, man. We're not talking about Burrow, Herbert. We're not talking about any of the 2021 dudes. Like, we're talking about Tua. But to segue into football a little bit, Tua, man, is really starting to sell well. He had a big dip when I think people were thinking he may be moving. And when the Dolphins didn't do anything in the offseason and they kind of put the stamp on, that's our guy,
Yeah.
his stuff, I mean, Hurts is the same way. They've both kind of been given the stamp of that's the guy we're going to go with.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, with some of the cards that like have been pulling and the Chronicles and stuff, like got a lot of Tua Burrows and all that. It's like definitely there is a lot of increase, especially when you figure out that Hurts now it's his job to lose. Tua, same thing.
yep.
Just so they can perform long term. It's like that's just what you got to be aware of, right?
Yeah, I mean it's still speculatory because you've got to hope that they're both going to play well, stay injury free, put up wins. Because again, I'm a big proponent of a second year quarterback. I don't care what your numbers are; the wins matter to me. If
Yeah,
Herbert comes out and throws 300 a game, one interception or less, that doesn't mean anything to me unless they're also a winning squad. He's got
right.
to be a leader that can make them actually win because at the end of the day, that's more important.
What what quarterback besides the top four that we mentioned do you think is going to have an upstart? We got the Aaron Rodgers news now that yesterday the Packers offered him a long term deal. That
Hmm.
is, I mean, interesting now because obviously Jordan Love cards popped 2 weeks ago when the NFL draft. Rodgers announced he wanted out. I mean, who knows if Rodgers takes the deal or not? Well, that is yet to see, but it's gonna be interesting.
I mean, it's kind of twofold. One, this is why I was saying sell all your love stuff when they popped.
Right.
Because again, there was a chance that something like this happened. There's also the chance that Love isn't great. We don't know yet. I mean, he's not seen the NFL field. That said, there was a big pop. I think it made sense to sell him. If Rodgers re-signs, you'll be able to buy all that Love stuff you sold for half.
Oh
Like
yeah.
his stuff is going to go right back down, and it may even take a bigger hit than that.
Well, I definitely think so. Obviously, they're gonna have to trade Love. I mean, you sign Rodgers, what are you gonna do? I guess keep Love for another season, maybe. But you
Yeah,
have to get him
to
out of
put him
there.
on the shelf, for 2 more years is gross. That's just rough.
It is, but you also gotta from Green Bay, you got to make sure that you're watching your back because
Hmm.
you have him on a great contract for the next few years. If Rodgers somehow gets hurt, next year in the big middle of the big deal, well, your season might not be in danger because you can throw in Jordan Love.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I personally would love to see Rodgers go, you guys have never given me what I've needed. I've been begging for help. You offering me money is cute, but I'm not interested. I really hope he says no.
Me too. I want him out of Green Bay. I hope he goes to Denver, and then just realize how much he hadn't made in that division all these years.
But that's an interesting a play there too, because you got Jerry Jeudy and Hamler over there.
Oh, his offense there is stacked. I mean, the offensive line's good. The defense is really good. Even though they would have to trade Surtain to get Rodgers, because they would have to give him up and probably 3 other picks at least to get Rodgers. I mean, if you're Denver, I definitely see it.
Yeah, you make that deal all day. But in the same breath, then is there a play in the card world to grab up some KJ Hamler, to grab up some Jerry Jeudy's? They're already a cheap position player anyway. You're not going to have to spend a ton of money to get nice stuff. You can buy a flawless Hamler RPA numbered at a 99 for like $80.
Where are you at on buying receivers though? Like, do you like receivers?
I mean, I don't, but what I like is the notion of if you buy a bunch of them now and then Rodgers signs, all those guys are going to pop for about 2 weeks.
That's true.
And you could just get them and get out. Get them, get the money, get out.
With that is like, Justin Jefferson, his cards are probably the most sought after right now because he's there you go. You got select. That's a sweet card too.
That's a silver version.
And those are a lot of sought after cards, and he definitely has a big potential future to maybe even be greater than the Randy Moss. Which, I mean, to be put in that conversation with Moss is, definitely nothing to look over. Do you see his cards? Would you hold his cards long term?
The tough part with position players to me is they're even under more scrutiny to perform.
Yeah.
So a quarterback can, again, we'll go back to Herbert. Herbert can throw 300 and 0 interceptions for the first 3 games and go 0-4.
Yeah.
If Jefferson is not making receptions, making touchdowns, gaining yardage, man, it's so much scrutiny. And again, it's already a position people don't like to invest in long term. So am I holding any of him long? No. But game 2, if he's on fire, am I selling? Yep, 100%.
Right. Yeah, of course. It's just one of those things, I guess, with receivers, that in every other position too, that you have to go after, or if they're in year 8 or 9, and you get those cards, why not?
If you're established, I think it's fine. If you're dealing for a rookie spec, it's really rough.
Where are you at on Aaron Donald? Would you want his Topps Chrome 2014? No. No,
it's not. There's nothing he can do to me that's, again, my metric. What does he have to do to double?
Yeah.
I can't think of anything that guy could do, including winning a ring. I don't think winning a NFL championship would get him double.
What about 30 sacks in a season?
I don't think it matters, man. It's still a defensive position, basically, at that point. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like it's like seeing LT rookie cards sell what they sell. LT is, I mean, no one argues that he's not the greatest defensive player of all time. And
you can buy a full size autographed helmet of that guy for $100.
Yeah.
I mean, his rookie cards before the market boom, you could buy them for $1. $1.
Wow. I guess that just shows you, yeah. Because I mean, we've seen the pops of most of the older quarterbacks and stuff like that, Marino, Elway, Montana, and all them. But yeah, I mean, him playing in that same generation, he had no pop really.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing I should touch on because I've had a few people ask about this. When you're buying someone to flip quickly, there is a metric you have to consider. So let's go back to Jerry Judy, and let's just pick any random card that sells for $100.
Right.
So you go out and you buy 10 of those, because I'm a big fan of buy 10 or buy 0. But let's say you buy 10, and he starts getting hot. You've still got to outpace the eBay fees.
Yeah.
So it's something people don't really think about. Like when you buy a card for 100, and let's say you get into them 100 a piece, taxes, shipping, everything. Which I mean, again, that plays a role too. It all adds up. So let's say you're in 100 a piece for easy numbers. Where are you going to sell it when he suddenly gets hot? Unless you're in Facebook groups where you can, quickly move it, you're likely going to go to eBay. But you've got to outpace the eBay fees and PayPal fees and eBay managed payment fees. So I always assume that I'm 10% behind as soon as I make any kind of purchase on eBay if I'm thinking of flipping.
You have to.
So when you buy that card for 100, that card needs to go to 120 for you to make even 8%.
Yeah.
So it's just something to really think about. Like when you're looking at a player, that's why I like buying stuff I think is going to double, because I can outpace that 10% pretty easily.
Yeah.
But if you're just trying to make a quick 10, 20%, man, you better have a good source to sell it, because again, eBay is going to take their cut.
That's why sending cards into consignment is such a big thing right now. I know that's what I did. I sent in probably 50 cards off to a consignment, even though they might be $30, $40 cards.
Yep.
I don't have to pay shipping. I don't have to do any of that. They take their fee, and I don't know what kind of deal they have with eBay, but it makes it worth it.
All the big ones have a good deal to where they make a nice bit of money. It's a lot of work. I mean, a lot of them have to have big infrastructure. Shipping's a nightmare,
Yeah.
But doing eBay for yourself, I mean, you're talking about materials, you're talking about time, you're talking about fraud, you're talking about returns. Yeah. Just the ink to send out. If you start doing a lot of eBay, there was a year where, no BS, I spent over $10,000 on ink.
I bet.
When I used to do eBay for myself, like $10,000 just on ink. That's not even paper cost,
I have my girlfriend print the papers because I don't have a printer. And if I go, it's like $1 every time. Like, that adds up. If I'm shipping out 30 things in a month, that's $30 a profit. That
just so we're on the same page, printers at Walmart are, I think, $23.
I know. I just why do that when I could just do it? I know. I cut corners in certain ways, but.
Why would you not for the day? Why would you not spend $20 and have a printer? My God, sir.
I just bought it in break for $25. But yeah, man, I don't know. I guess I still think of printers and stuff as expensive from just like one of those things that you think of like, oh yeah, it's that price. I can't believe that it's come down that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, with all that, it just does add up to be a crazy amount. That's why sending them off to get consigned and stuff is just so much better. Yeah,
I like it a lot, especially because, again, you've taken your risk factor out, your risk of getting just fraudulent stuff. I mean, it's rampant on there. I've dealt with it so many times, man. It's really frustrating. It's a great place to buy. I hate selling on there, but again, like I had a card shop, right, for years and years and years. We would sell between 3 and 10 single cards a day. That was a good day. We're talking like a Saturday.
Wow.
On eBay, I can sell thousands of cards a day if I have the inventory.
Yeah. I went to a card shop yesterday. Guy has 1 million cards in there. It was in a little town I grew up outside of LA. And man, such a stiffler on the cards. Like, cards selling on eBay 30% cheaper and just not moving his cards. I'm like, you have all these cards in here. They're all like all over the place too, not even, and just doesn't want to budge on the cards. I'm like, God, like.
But see, that's the classic card shop owner, and that's why I think that industry is dying so heavily. Like, people ask me all the time, when am I going to open a shop again? Man, I don't see the benefit. I mean, full disclosure, a good day of sales in the card shop was $200.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's like,
and a break is like, we do how many breaks a day? Like, there's days we did 10 the other day. Like, just this past week, we had a day where we did 10 breaks.
Yeah,
that's so much more.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a really cool card shop. The Burbank card shop here, I mean,
Yeah.
big one,
Mhm.
um, very well known and stuff. But like that is just a location grab. It's been around and established, like, and it's being in Los Angeles. But the other surrounding card shops, they don't have that kind of hype. I mean, it's very
Well, even
rare.
think about Burbank too, though. Like, what is their total investment now in that company? What is their total cost of goods? What is their total monthly spend just to
Labor.
keep inventory and labor, which is the number one thing that puts all card shops out of business? One, labor is expensive. Two, I've never had someone who worked for me that didn't steal. Every single employee I ever had has stolen from us. Literally, all of them got caught, but all of them stole at some point money or cards, or hooked up a friend and like got paid on the outside. Um, Plus, you're going to have theft, from consumers. It just happens. You're a retail location. So Burbank is doing great. I'm sure their numbers are unbelievable. But year one and two, I bet it was scary as could be, man. Like it had to
Oh,
be.
oh yeah, and that's what I mean. It's starting it like you were mentioning is not an easy thing, especially in
Yeah.
today's world where everyone just goes to look online now.
Well, and especially too, like I get messages almost every day about guys who are in the hobby and they want to be a breaker. And what can I do to become a breaker? And I'm like, man, it's absolutely a thing you can try to do. But the number one hurdle is you've got to somehow get boxes and allocation, which is really hard. You've got to be willing to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that
Yeah,
in the beginning for the first year if you have that kind of money. And then also you've got to build a clientele that'll fill your breaks because man, there's 300,000 break rooms. Like
it's
there's break rooms.
unbelievable.
I know I've got a buddy right now that owns a really big break room, probably one of the biggest in the country right now. He's doing 160,000 a day in breaks.
Wow.
So consider me like I'm very small comparatively speaking. Like even if I run 10, like ten's $10,000.
Right.
He's doing 160,000 a day.
Jesus, man, that just it's crazy. But it's on another level. It's just something completely different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, he's built the following. He's able to do that, and I'm a big fan. Like I love what he's doing, but his is all $600 buy-ins and above. So it's all very elite, very expensive. You can really destroy your customers really fast. And to
Yeah.
me, that's the biggest fear is like that's why we run a lot of cheap breaks because we want longevity. I want to be doing this, 3 years from now. Um, if you run a lot of $600 buy-ins, man, like at a certain point, guys can just get the risk of ruin is so high.
Yeah. I mean, if I lose $1,800 on three buys, like I'm like, I mean, I guess if you're a millionaire, that's not going to hurt you, but if you're making a couple $100,000 a year, that's still going to hurt you. It's still going to be like, oh man, I just can't believe I spent 2 grand on that break. I might do that
Hmm.
again. But if I buy, $100 on and I got four spots, you know, at $25
Yeah.
a spot, I'm like, oh, that was too bad. I'm going to buy it again Friday or something like that. It's like,
Well, and I really push this narrative too. I mean, obviously we want to run as many breaks as we can,
right.
but the way we're doing it Monday through Thursday, doing $25 breaks, $100 bill you can buy into a break 4 days in a row.
Yeah.
Like you have action, you get to be involved 4 days in a row for $100. There's no break room out there that's doing that. Nobody. I mean, everyone's
But
trying to do these huge breaks, big dollar buy-ins. Like, I love breaking even the $100 buy-in ones. I love it because it's more product. We're going to see more cool stuff, right? Like, it's a good time. But the 25 and 35s, the longevity is there, and you can still hit a monster.
yeah. No, exactly, man. That's the one caveat to all that. We got a little bit off topic. Let's go back into some football talk. We talked about Rodgers and the whole love situation. That's it all going to, I think, play out here, especially as we get closer to June, because Rodgers nothing can really happen until the June 1st if they do decide to move him or whatnot, unless he does
What's
something.
your gut?
I think Rodgers signs there long term. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think.
Yeah, I mean,
I think. Go ahead.
if I was a wagering enthusiast, I think he ends up staying, which is why I've been screaming "sell your loves while they're hot." I honestly, I think he stays, and I think he retires there. I don't think he's going to want to be one of these guys that plays for multiple teams, goes and becomes a journeyman that's at multiple teams for the next 5 years. Like I just don't see it.
I mean, if I'm a teammate of Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if I want him back, but I mean, that's something completely different. I just don't see him leaving. They have a system in place. He has a good coach, and obviously he just won the
It's
MVP.
kind of tough, right?
It is.
It's tough if you are his teammate and he's like, you guys have never given me weapons, and you're standing there and you're like, you're the weapon. You're like, bro, like, can you stop trashing the team in the media? Because, like, we are your teammates, because we can also miss that blocking assignment and you can just get folded up.
Yeah, especially after a year where he won the MVP off of, I don't think you should have won the MVP. I've still been a big spokesperson of that. Sorry, they beat absolutely nobody last year. They beat 13 teams with all losing records.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I still think Mahomes should have won the MVP, but that's just a different thing. But, I think Rodgers stays. He has a good team around him, regardless of what he thinks. All those guys still helped him win the MVP and got a game away from the Super Bowl. So,
if he stays, do you think they make any noise this year?
You mean like going into playoffs?
Do you feel like they're a threat to win a chip?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
They were a game away. They're going to run it back with mostly everybody they had. Yeah, of course. I mean, especially no one's giving them a run in that division. Minnesota's not. Chicago, no. They're still a year or two away from making anything, I think. And who's the other team in that division? It's Chicago, Minnesota, Green Bay, and Detroit. Yeah, Detroit's not doing any noise either. So they have like 7 wins guaranteed in that division right there. Yeah, man. Let's talk about Tim Tebow making his way back into the NFL. Last time he pretty much played was the Steelers game, man. Actually, the last game he played, he got destroyed by Tom Brady and the Patriots. but last game he won in the NFL was against the Steelers, making an incredible pass. And then he was.
Are you a fan?
I liked actually Tebow. I thought if you could use him in the right system, as Denver kind of did, and let him do his thing, I thought he could be a winner. It was kind of sad to never see him get another chance. I know the Patriots signed him and but cut him. But he never really got his chance. He went and signed with my New York Mets at a minor league deal. I thought he, overcame some adversity. I like players like that could try to overcome adversity and do things like that. That shows something about, your character and everything.
I know a lot of guys that actually still collect him.
Right.
I know quite a bit of people here locally, at least, that have massive Tebow collections, like big money stuff. Because oddly enough, he still has some cards that are worth quite a bit of money.
That's what I was going to ask you is, would you suggest people going out there and getting his 2010 Topps Chrome?
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. Don't buy hype. Again, the time to buy that was 2 months ago before the rumors started. Like, again, why would we buy when the market's going up? We don't buy guys that are on fire. Like, we buy guys that are depressed and then that have a shot to explode.
Exactly. His 2010s or something be around 450, somewhere like 3,000. They're pretty high. His Topps Chrome, his Topps Chrome Denver card right now are selling in the thousands right now.
And again, 6 months ago, that wasn't the case.
No.
His stuff has always had a little bit of weird collector value. Like, he's a guy that just for some reason brings a little money. But there's just no way in the world that I would suggest putting money into him while he's on fire. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. Especially the thing with Tebow is like, I mean, he has such a decorated history. 2 Heisman trophies. I mean, having some success in the NFL, more success than what other quarterbacks have had. And then going to play baseball, now coming back. I mean, there's a fandom there for sure. Yeah.
And the kid's a super athlete. Like, he's clearly a beast. Like, the fact that he's basically going to be a walk-on in the NFL now, like, that's pretty cool. But in the same breath, he's going to have to perform also to attain these prices.
Exactly. And with him performing. I mean, I hope he succeeds. I mean, he's not that old. And
Yeah,
the thing about him is he's an incredible athlete, big guy. He's going to be a tight end. I can see that.
yeah, it makes sense to me.
And I like him reuniting with Urban Meyer.
Hmm.
I mean, that's the
I
biggest
really
reason
like the
why he's
play.
back.
I would never go plow $1,000 into that guy though.
No way.
No way.
No.
Now, again, like if you kind of, and again, you got to think there's a lot of insider information that happens in this hobby too. Let's say you knew about this idea a year ago. You were walking through the office, and you're down there at the Jags stadium or Jags front office, and you see Tim Tebow walk out in a suit. That's not a terrible time to go buy a bunch of Tebow stuff because you have a little bit of info. That has to happen, right?
Of course. I mean, Urban Meyer was discussing this idea 3 months ago.
Right.
I mean, I think
And I would say that even a year ago, they probably had a phone call and just talked about it.
Yeah.
I don't think this was something that was quickly rushed. I mean, this is a pretty big deal. But again, from a card selling perspective, if I had Tebow, you know what I would do right now with him? Sell. Sell. Get the money. Get the money and just move on to the next guy. Like, if you're in the market of selling, if you're a true collector and you like collecting, there's nothing wrong with it, but don't buy at the highs.
Yeah, especially if you just had this card sitting there, dump that thing right now. I mean,
yeah.
as soon as I would actually maybe wait if Lawrence throws him a touchdown. What? Oh my God, I mean, unless you could get a few $100s for that, but if maybe the value popped a little bit, and you're just like, maybe I'll just hold until that. I saw a prop bet yesterday. It was like plus 1,500 that Lawrence throws Tebow a touchdown this season.
For the season?
Yeah, that's pretty good money.
That sounds like free money. That sounds like free money. There is the issue though of, are we sure he starts?
Exactly. Right. That's the other thing. It's like, is he going to be the first string tight end? No. But will they use him on specialty plays? I mean, of course. I mean,
you would think so.
Like I said, the one thing about the guy is I still remember him running as a quarterback again on the Broncos. That guy can take hits. He can run. I mean, I know this is 10 years ago now, but it's a big difference.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, if he's not going to be tight end one, he's going to see less touches. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely believe at some point he gets a touchdown.
Exactly. That's just
Vegas is seldom wrong though, so it looks really good. But there's a reason it looks really good.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you've also got some other factors too, like Lawrence has to not get hurt. If game 2 Lawrence goes down, you just lost. You know what I mean? Like, if he's out for the season, it's over with. Yeah. I don't hate it, though. I like the number.
There's a lot there that, could be made. And I guess it's exciting, of course, because,
yeah.
I think everyone's missing football at this point, with minicamp starting, everyone's getting excited. In 3 months, we'll have some football. And especially with the extra game, it's going to be interesting. There's one player I want to talk about before we move on from the NFL, Russell Wilson. I want to talk about his card value. His rookie cards seem to be cheaper than what is going out there. I don't see a lot of cards ever in the breaks of Russell Wilson, right?
No, not really.
I mean, when I've opened Optic, I'd never see Russell Wilson. So, are you a buyer on Russell Wilson rookie cards or his second year cards?
Me personally, no, because I'm going to ask you the question I always do. What's he got to do for his stuff to double? I think for him, he would have to perform at MVP level and win a Super Bowl.
But that's the thing is every year he's in the MVP conversation. Some people can't imagine how he's never won an MVP. I mean, I can because he's just never outperformed any of the other MVPs that year. And in week 6, he was the MVP everyone was talking about. And if he would have kept that up for another 10 games, yeah, I would have given him the MVP. But you know what? That guy fell off tremendously. but I still think his cards are a little undervalued for what they're at.
I mean, for the things he's done, it does seem like they're low. It's just the problem I see is everything he's done was so long ago.
Yeah.
In the collector world, man, it's like, yeah, he used to be really, really good, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm not saying he was Mahomes, but he had the Mahomes hype in his first 3 seasons. Yeah. I mean, that defense was of course, a wrecking crew. He won.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Did he win Rookie of the Year? I think he did.
I feel like yes.
I think he did. Maybe I'm wrong, but there. Maybe he did.
Was it Luck instead?
Oh, you know what? It was Luck. Yeah, you're right. It was Luck. Luck had an incredible year. Yeah, good memory there. But he did win the Super Bowl in 2013. Made it back. Lost to Brady. We remember that play. But seriously, after that, man, it was pretty much, as most dynasty teams kind of do, is they start getting injuries, people start leaving and all that. But I'm curious to kind of see where Russell Wilson's card value would be at in the next few years. Because I still think, he's only 31. I still think he can make something happen. And I'm curious to see what Seattle's going to be doing this next year. Because if they don't do anything this next year, I think Wilson might be gone. Yeah. And I know that's not new. He came out on the Dan Patrick show and said that, he is frustrated with the team.
I think him leaving could be the only thing that could help his card value right now. The issue I have with him is I think post-retirement, he is a forgotten soul. No one's going to think about that dude.
Really?
I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it. Again, like as somebody who had a shop even when he was hot, people weren't walking in asking for his stuff ever. Like I've never had someone message me and be like, man, you know what I need? One of them hot Russell Wilsons. No one's ever said that to me.
I would rather own Russell Wilson than Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if that's a big shocker.
From a personality standpoint, I think Russell Wilson seems the long-term hold of value. Rodgers is going to be bigger.
Yeah, he has 2 MVPs. I mean, they both have a Super Bowl. Some people might argue that, although the year that Rodgers won the Super Bowl, his team was not anything spectacular, but Rodgers has better numbers.
If I had to guess right now, if Rodgers re-signs with the Packers, do the Packers have a better year than Russell Wilson will have? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that I don't know. I don't believe in Wilson anymore. I think he had a really good second year, and after that, he puts up decent numbers. But again, like it's just a guy that seems like they can't get back to the show.
Yeah, they make the playoffs every year. It just they can't get past the not the conference, but yeah, either wild card or what's
you asked me a minute ago what quarterback I think is going to really show out this year, basically.
Yes.
I think you're going to see Lamar Jackson is either going to step up and become great, or we're going to see Lamar Jackson be done. As far as the hobby value, like if he doesn't do something, everyone is going to abandon ship.
So you're talking about pretty much Russell Wilson.
But I mean, that's the thing. It's very similar, even though they don't look anything alike as far as body type. But yeah, I mean.
Oh no, I'm talking about what we were just talking about with their card value, because now it'll be year 5 for him.
I mean, he's already getting known as the guy who's amazing in the regular season and cannot win in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And again, Wilson at least has a chip. He's and could have had 2 if they just hand the ball off. But. Why would you? Why would you not hand the ball?
It's okay. I was happy. Tom Brady got his 4th ring from that.
Yeah, they gave it to him. Yeah.
Yeah, or Brady put them in position, and Belichick finally coached a good defensive Super Bowl after losing 2 in a row.
Yeah.
But jury's out on that. I mean. But, yeah, man, I see his card value even I'm not going to say Phillip Rivers, because Phillip Rivers never won an MVP. But, I mean, it's comparable. Rivers being a guy who's, choked a handful of times in the playoffs, never showed up, but had close to MVP seasons. I mean, could be
And I
the same
like
thing.
Lamar. Like, I think Lamar's a likable dude in a lot of ways.
Very likable. Especially getting hurt and coming back in, and what he did. I was that against the Browns when he left the game in Cleveland this past season. That was awesome, man. And
Well, he went to school right up the street from us in Louisville.
Oh,
So there's always been a big fan following where I live for that guy because he was a talent. Just an hour and a half away.
and you also got to love the fact that what he's done. People thought he couldn't make it as a quarterback.
Yep.
He goes
he's
out.
built like a lineman, man. like he's got this crazy wide body, but he's got wheels. My only fear with him is, and again, everyone just echoed this. He's one huge shot away from another season on the bench because he runs into traffic a lot.
Yeah, no, and I don't think he. We saw with RG3 that is the one thing, is when he runs, it reminds me of RG3, and we remember RG3 getting hit, man. Not cool, and fortunately he's been able to avoid, but at one point or another, that is going to catch up. You can't. If you're a quarterback, you can't live by that.
Yeah, for sure.
When Russell Wilson does it, he's very smart about it. Wilson will take off, and he knows when to slide. He's not going to try to go for the touchdown or go for that. Same thing with Mahomes. Mahomes knows when to run out of bounds or knows when to slide. And I think maybe that's the thing Lamar needs to start focusing on next. When he breaks out, it's incredible. He's the fastest guy in the field. What he does is amazing. More elite than Vic, but
Yeah, 100%. And he is such a big body too. He can stiff arm some of these dudes off of him. But I just think there's going to be a day, man, where he's just going to get folded up, and I think he's going to lose a season because of his ability to not slide. Just thinking you can blow through these dudes. Some of these dudes are 300, man, and they run a what 10-6, 40.
Well, you saw DK Metcalf the other day, right?
Yeah.
Man, God, that guy is so big, and he was able to run that. Oh man,
Yeah.
What was that 10-3
10-4 or something? 10-3, yeah.
God, unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, let's move on from football. The season comes back soon, but we have a week left in basketball, and I think this is where all the hype is at. Westbrook yesterday passing Oscar Robinson in triple doubles.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people don't take it seriously. I was one of those people, but I was listening to Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo the other day talk about Westbrook's journey to this. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of the MVP season that he had, he put up the stats. He was chasing the triple double. He was going for the but for him to get rebounds in this day and age, they made a great point. He is a guard that can rebound the ball, and he's proven it now in almost 5 straight seasons of just going after this. This is the guy. I've always loved his style of play, balls to the wall. That guy's, anytime he's in the game, he is 100% energy on the court. It was a rarity in today's game where, he cries a little bit, but he doesn't make excuses. He lets his play do it. That's also been the detriment of some of his playoff journeys. But it
does seem like he's active both sides of the ball every play. He's in the mix. He's out there to play every minute that he's on the court. My only and I don't know what it is, he doesn't have hobby love.
I think he has a little bit of hobby love from what I'm looking at. I'll pull up his cards right now.
Well, but you also have to understand he's getting media right now. Go look at his stuff from 3 months ago. He's not on the level of what you think he should be for the stats. If we're looking at just on paper, this guy should be the hottest thing in all of the sport right now.
I think with what he's doing, because his raw cards are on bid right now for over $200 right now, some of his raws. So his PSA 9s and stuff are getting there too. But yeah, I just think with Russell Westbrook, his cards are they're going to pop right now. You're right, but I think with this, I think they might hold there. I think he's put himself in a category of where people, because there's a lot of Westbrook fans, believe it or not. Like there were like a lot of Kobe fans. There's a lot of people that like Westbrook and compare him to Kobe's mentality, like Lillard's mentality of like, he doesn't care. Another thing that Bill Simmons and Russillo had said is he thinks he's the best player on the court. He literally thinks that. He's always played like that. Even when he was playing with Durant, he always thought he was the best player on the team, even though he wasn't. I mean, again, he faulted that team was, never going to win with Westbrook because Westbrook thought he was the better player than Durant.
Before this record and all the hype over the last few weeks that he's received, would you have gave him top 10 in the league 3 months ago?
I still don't think he's top 10 in the league. I mean, You have to put him there with all NBA because, he's a really good defender. He does defend the ball well. So, I mean, with a two-way player, you got to put him there. I am still not taking him because I'm sorry, I just don't think he can lead you to the finals. Do I think he can win you? He can win you a series, especially with them being in the playing tournament, man. It's gonna be fun. I mean, that team was literally, I think, 0-6 to start the year or something like that. Yeah. Like 3-15.
Hot garbage. Hot garbage.
Yeah.
Just terrible.
So for them to do what they've done, it's pretty awesome. It's awesome. And that's another player who I want to touch on is Bradley Beal, his teammate. Beal's not going to win the scoring title now after Curry is Curry's been eyeballing it. Curry's like, I'm not letting you win the scoring title. I'm going to win this.
Yeah, absolutely not.
And Curry's gone off and last night sealed a 3 against the Jazz and 2.
That looked good too. That was a good game.
It was, man. And we'll talk about Curry again. I know we've talked about him, I think, every week, but
I mean, it makes sense to talk about him. He is the Michael Jordan of this generation, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, from a fan, like from being able to, like what we talked about, on the court, you're saying Curry, as before people were saying Kobe, and then people before that were saying Jordan. LeBron's definitely the greatest player of this generation.
Let me ask you this though, because this is something I just thought about, and I've never actually considered this before. So when you talk about LeBron, there are a lot of LeBron haters as well as fans, right? Like there's guys who are just like vehemently hate that dude. Like they don't like him. And it can be his political stances, it can be his plays, the flops, whatever. I don't know anyone who's like, Curry's trash. Like I don't know anyone who's just like, Curry's terrible. I hate that guy. Like I don't know anyone.
I loved Curry before the 2016. I really loved him when he was playing with Monte Ellis. I thought he was. I never thought he was going to be this great 3-point shooter. I mean, no one did. You couldn't have. No one could have thought he was going to turn out to be this great.
But as far as likability, like there's a lot of people who just dislike LeBron as a human being. They just they don't care for him. Yeah, but I don't know anyone who dislikes Curry. Like, do you know anyone who's just like Curry's garbage? Like, I've never heard that.
No. A lot of people, think that. There are some Curry haters out there, not as much as LeBron, of course. LeBron thing started when, he left Cleveland to go to Miami. So you have those people. You have people who just generally are Jordan fans or Kobe fans that never thought that LeBron was. But I mean, come on. LeBron is 1A, 1B, wherever you want to put him, the greatest player of all time.
Do you think he wins a chip still this year? Because this scenario of, hey, I'm not going to be 100% ever again. Like, I think he's kind of telling us something here. I think
LeBron has a good way of throwing people off the scent of trying to make it seem that you heard him last year, the toughest title he's ever won. He thinks he's won the 2 toughest titles ever. LeBron has a way of throwing it in there that, into placing in our minds, and he does a good job of playing these mind games. Like you said, LeBron from a likability standpoint, he does cry a lot, and I never like. And Curry, when it was that 2016 run when they lost, Curry was shook, man, a little bit. He obviously couldn't hit the rim or not, couldn't make a basket in that Game 7. No one could, But
Yeah.
I think the one thing I never liked about what Curry would do is the way he would chew on his mouthpiece and stuff like that. That would always just bug me. I don't know why. Like he'd always chew on it when the ball wasn't falling for him. I mean, of course he's a fantastic shooter. That was just the only thing I guess I never liked about Curry. But I mean, you gotta love him. I mean, look what he's done. Like he's given people who are how tall are you?
Not tall.
All right, me neither. So I'm 5'9" and not tall at all. So people who are our height or even 6 foot, they can maybe make a career in the NBA by just shooting that. And so Curry's started that revolution, right?
Yep.
I mean,
So,
maybe AI did.
I got to back you up. Do you still think the Lakers win this year?
Yes, I
Because
do. Yeah.
they seem like they're very made out of glass.
I think LeBron is. Look, obviously.
Are you saying he's playing possum?
No,
Is
no,
he
no,
playing
no, no,
possum?
no. I think, like I said, I think LeBron has, with the comments he made before the injury again, because the injury came after he said that. I'll never be 100% again. So maybe there is something there, but I still think if LeBron's on the court with him knowing how to slow down the game, because man, LeBron is the smartest player on the court. When he's on the court, he's the smartest player in the NBA by far. I mean, this guy is like from just an ability. Even if he's hurt 90%, I still think he's the best player in the league at 90% because of what he could do.
I will tell you, I think they're going to get bounced in round one.
No, okay, I'll bet you on that.
We'll talk about it. I'm telling you now, I don't think they make it out of round one. I think that team is so fragile. AD is going to get hurt before, like they're so. No,
AD's
this is
been
not
fine,
their
man.
year.
He's been playing. He's been playing okay. I think he's playing into playoff form. He's still coming. He's still getting all the rust off. I think LeBron has a lot of rust to play off still. That for sure. But we know LeBron is a freak. Yeah,
I'm going to tell you now. The Suns are winning it all. We've already been over this. So just book it. Just book it. It's fine. You know I'm right.
Hey man, I have a Chris Paul rookie card, BGS 95 that I hope if they make it far, I'm going to be selling it off before they make the finals. So I really hope you're right. Because I don't see them. Sorry, I think they're maybe the fourth best team in the West still.
This is a future image of Chris Paul holding the trophy. Here it is, right here.
Oh man, it's so funny. And you've been on them since halfway through the season since we started talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
But we've
it's
seen
tough.
it.
It's tough to be right.
No, it is because we've seen it before. Chris Paul, he's had great teams and he's choked it up.
Yeah, but now he's got that State Farm money, man. Like he's
what? He's had the money before. He's been on big contracts before. He's always had the money.
Just watch.
He's been overpaid for a long time. He just has.
Just watch. Here it comes.
But yeah, man. But I think LeBron will be there. And to talk about Bradley Beal, sorry, go back to the Bradley Beal thing. Do you want to buy any Bradley Beal cards? Would you buy any of his cards right now?
6 months ago, maybe.
Well, even before that, Bradley his Prism is his PSA 10. Let me see his rookie. I'm trying to think if he had his so his 2012 Prism right now. It's selling not too bad, about $850. They're holding about $800. That I think that's kind of undervalued a little bit, right?
It could be. It could be. There's one fear with me is if next year he does nothing, then that plummets. Like he seems like a guy that does this as far as in the hobby.
Yes, I agree. I still think. I mean, I don't think he's going anywhere now. I don't think he's going to request a trade now that Westbrook has been a kind of resurgence on that team. And they would have been bad, and that team was in the tanker. Going for the lottery. I don't even think they have their pick actually. So, but
who he reminds me of, though, as far as hobby value, is John Wall.
Who?
Like he
Beal?
goes, yeah. As far as not play style at all, just simply good year, average, good year, average, bad year. Like it just, I don't know. I've never sat back and thought, man, you know what? I wish I owned a whole bunch of Beal stuff. Like I've
No,
never thought that.
I never would have wanted to own anything Wall either, but I would much
Yeah.
rather own Beal. And this is 3 or 4 years ago. I never liked John Wall as a hobby value or anything. I just when people had thought he was better than Kyrie at one point in like
Uh-huh.
2017 or something,
Yeah.
I was laughable. And
Yeah.
and I mean maybe Kyrie at the end of the Celtics thing, you're like, man, I want to dump everything Kyrie. But of course now everyone you gotta love Kyrie because this is the kind of player that he could play to be like. I mean his handles and stuff like that. I'm talking about just from his game. I mean Kyrie on a whole nother mental standpoint. I don't want him on my team. But his ability to play the game, I mean, phenomenal. The best handles that we've ever seen. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's just Beal again for me is, and you know how I mean, I think I've solidified my position. I don't buy anybody that's hype. I don't want to buy guys when they're in the media. I want to buy guys when everyone's asleep at the wheel on them.
yes.
So you know
But
who I would buy right now?
I still
I'd buy Clay. Buy Clay. Go ahead, go buy Clay. That's it.
yeah.
Nobody's
but
talking about Clay. No one's
if,
talking about Clay.
if you would have bought Clay this last offseason, you would have been screwed. Or I guess, you know, you
I
would
think
have.
you could buy Clay. You could buy Clay right now, and in the next 3 years, I think he'll be happy.
Yeah.
Especially in the off season, because Clay stuff's it's just not super hot right now. I mean, it's tough because everything in the hobby's expensive a little bit, but
Yeah. And that's actually what I want to talk to you about. So his 2011 rookie, you could buy his. This is his SP upper deck for 150 to 250. His Prism. So his 2012 Panini Prism is selling for $1,100.
yep.
So yeah, it's fluctuating around that range. So, I mean, definitely not a bad buy for maybe the third greatest 3-point shooter ever.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, as far as a guy that could get hot and get in a situation where he puts up crazy numbers, like he could have 3 50-point games in a row. Like he has that in him. And that's again when I would sell him.
Yeah.
Right? Game 3 of that, I unload.
I don't want to own anything Clay. Just that kind of
No.
injury, man. It just you see him try to come back from it, and he just got hurt. I would stay away from anything Clay Thompson.
But see, I think that's when you buy. You buy when the blood's running in the street. I mean, it's Econ 101. Buy when he gets suppressed.
I just
If that
like
$1,100 Prism gets down to $450, you buy 3. I mean, I'm telling you, like that's what I would do.
yeah. You know, if it was at 500, I'd be like, oh, definitely buy it. But because of his potential to come back next year, but at $1,100, I don't love it because I still think it could be at $1,100 this time next year.
Yeah, very much. I just feel like he has the potential to get one of those big pops, sort of like a Beal or sort of like a Lillard. You know, it's just guys that are kind of under the radar.
I'd rather own Beal at 800 than Clay at 1,100.
But see, I would have rather owned Beal at 200, which was probably not that long ago.
No, I don't think his stuff was at that. I could probably go back. Probably was at like 500 for his PSA 10 Prism. I don't think it was ever 200. In this last year or two.
I was gonna say, if you go back 2 years, I bet it was 200 all day.
Yeah, maybe before the hobby had popped to what it has been for sure.
Which makes everything tougher. You know, it's tougher now because the evaluation of price is so different now because everything's expensive.
Before we go off of basketball, I actually want to talk about that vintage basketball, and I'm not talking about the Russell stuff. I'm talking about we know where that's at with Wilt and stuff, but like the '70s cards, we're seeing a big bump there. Are you a long time hold on those? Like because obviously you know it's like I know vintage baseball is different. Vintage baseball outsells the other two any day. We haven't seen vintage football really drump. We've seen vintage basketball drumping a little bit, and especially with the popularity of where basketball is, I would say it's the most popular sport for cards maybe and I'm not talking about quarterbacks. We know what quarterbacks are selling at, but for just the faces and all that, especially like even Russell Westbrook passing Oscar Robinson, that bumps Oscar Robinson's cards, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who don't even know who the Big O was.
Right.
Especially newer collectors. They don't have any idea who that guy was.
No,
they don't know where he went to college. They don't know his accolades. They don't know that forever he would only sign his name Big O, and then eventually the card companies got him to sign his full name.
And
that guy, I met him in real life. Like that guy, he's great.
he seems. I like the little video that he put out last night of Westbrook. After Westbrook passed him. I mean, it's awesome, man. You see it, and there's a lot of players like that. But
so to answer your question, I am not a long-term hold on vintage basketball. It gets weird, man, because when you talking 70s, you're talking Julius Erving rookie.
Yeah.
Who else are you talking about? But who else are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I guess earlier Kareem stuff. I mean, you have some earlier Kareem. You have some later Wilt. Yeah. You have his later Wilt stuff. You have, I guess, that's Wilt Lakers. You have some Oscar Robinson stuff in there.
It's tough though because his rookie was in the 60s.
Definitely. But I mean, for as far as like those players being there, you have Bird, you have Magic, and 79. But those
81.
Is it 81?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
80-81. It's 80-81. But
yeah, that's right.
I would rather, but I consider that vintage too, though.
Okay.
Like. I think the 80-81 top set is still considered vintage as far as I'm concerned. I like those. I like the Bird Magic rookie.
Of course.
I would rather own the Bird Magic Irving than an Irving rookie, even though the Irving rookie is 1972-73.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's a better card.
Yeah. I guess it's just like with vintage basketball, the 70s, 60s, the 60s stuff is like maybe hit or miss. I don't know where that kind of goes in the future. Would you buy? Would you buy like a box of vintage of 60, 70 stuff for like $500 to $1,000?
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on, let me rephrase. Are you saying a sealed box of product, or are you saying just like a bunch of random cards?
No, I mean like a bunch of random cards. Like if they had Wilts and Kareems and stuff. No,
absolutely not.
Okay.
Unless, again, I mean, are you talking about like razor sharp? I'm going to send these to PSA and get sevens. Now we're in a different world. But like just average $5, $10 cards, no way. Absolutely not.
And that's what I mean. Like if cards are in good shape.
I mean, they would have to be Blazers that I can grade because, again, like fourth year, fifth year Wilt is worth that much money.
Yeah.
A 6 year Maravich is not worth that much money. Like, it's just, I don't know, like vintage basketball, because the game's so different now, I feel like collectors look at a lot of those old guys as like, they almost don't even really matter, man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And that was my last question before we jump off of basketball. Let's talk. We have a little bit of MLB questions. We'll just talk some Albert Pujols. We've talked about him in the past. We know what he's done. Him leaving or getting released by the Angels. Big news last week for us. No one saw that coming. Maybe some people that saw him sitting and wondering why he's not starting. But that's just the only thing. Albert, man, that's just. It's a crazy talk to see him not being on a team, him being in the league. We thought he was going to retire an Angel. Maybe his last. Where do you see him going?
I mean, the heart of me wants to see him go to the Cardinals. I don't know if there's a place for him.
No way.
I just don't think it. But in the same breath, it would be a cool story. I don't think the White Sox make sense either.
I think that makes the most sense just to be a DH. I mean, I really wish that baseball would have just stuck the universal DH to begin with for this going forward.
How do you feel though about DH record setters?
Because
he's not far away from getting to 700.
I don't care.
With never testing positive, it's like the DH position. I don't know. Like it just. I'm not saying it should be an asterisk, but it does feel a little bit cheap. Like if you don't do it,
I just don't
I don't
care
know.
about it. I mean, it's fine. Like, David Ortiz being a DH most of his career, that's great. Like, his numbers are awesome. 3-time champion. Like, I don't have any, feelings about the DH position. I think it's fine. If Pujols was to go DH for the White Sox and hit 30 home runs this year and pass 700, I would love it. I'm all about it. I mean, because I think Pujols was, for 10 straight years, the best player in baseball. He just was.
For sure. For sure. La Russa has come out and said they have no place for him.
Yeah. And so that's why it's just maybe a team like the Yankees, they need a DH, or a team that's like I mean, if I'm a team like Seattle and I need a DH, Pujols, come to Seattle, baby. Sell some tickets. Start your 700 chase. By the way, Seattle called up their top prospect, Jared Kalenic, yesterday.
It's very big news.
It is big news. I have one of his Bowman's best. I mean, it's not his first Bowman, but his auto.
Yep. But yeah, he's going to be hot. His stuff's been good already. It's going to get real good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much higher it could get because it's so high. His stuff is ridiculous high, but I'm gonna put that up there.
Baseball prospects get crazy. That's what's weird, man. Baseball prospects. I mean, there's dudes selling for $25,000 that have not seen the field and won't for 3 years.
Too crazy on some of the stuff, man. It's too high. A lot of it.
I mean, Wander Franco, still the number one prospect in baseball. We still don't know when we're seeing him. It might be another year or two.
No, he's going to get called up this season. I've been hearing a lot of like Buster Olney and stuff talk about Franco will get called up this year. They're just waiting again for the service time. That's just it. They want that extra year, which I hate, and maybe it's something that we'll talk about next week. I hate the service time thing. The stars should be called up. A guy like Jordan Kalenic, who should have been called up last year. I really hate the 6-year service time thing.
It just hurts the players. I mean, they did the same thing to Chris Bryant.
Hurts. It doesn't only hurt the players. It hurts the sport. When baseball, and you know how I feel about baseball. I'm so passionate about baseball. It's my favorite sport still. For baseball to fix itself a little bit, it needs to figure out this service time thing. I understand what it means for the clubs, and that's why they need to address it, where it's a win-win for the players, the sport, and for the clubs. What needs to happen there? Because clubs hurt themselves with these long-term contracts, so maybe these long-term contracts are for when they're younger, Yeah. Instead of it being later years, this needs to happen sooner. So they need to really figure it out. The Trevor Bauer stuff we talked about before, that's a sign of how this stuff could work. Bigger money, maybe shorter term. Yeah, it's awesome. It's better. Maybe all clubs can't do that, but there has to be a way to figure it out. More, and maybe this is something we're going to touch on next week is how does baseball improve its game a little bit? How does it make itself more popular?
Yeah.
Because I don't think baseball's dead by any means. It's definitely not. I mean, obviously you see it with the hobby. It's definitely not dead. But like, how does it, right now, because when we get into June, baseball, it slows down a lot. June, July, it's the slowest, but it starts to pick up in August, September, and postseason for sure. But this is something we'll definitely talk about next week.
It's weird from a card standpoint right now because it's like this is the time of year where we have baseball, basketball, and football all going.
Right.
The football draft, obviously they're not playing, but the football draft gets a lot of heat. 2021 products are starting to release. There's a release. Tomorrow there's a release of 2021 football. It just gets really muddy. There's just so much products coming out at once for the different sports. Like it's hard if you try to collect all three.
Yeah, and I agree. It's definitely something, especially with the basketball playoffs. It just overshadows the baseball season by far. Yeah, and with the play-in tournament too. I mean, that cuts into some of the May baseball. It just does.
Yeah, I mean, is televised baseball going to take a huge hit if they televise the play-in tournament? Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that eats into another week or two of May baseball. And so there's some stuff that I think baseball could do, and we'll talk about this next week because I think it's actually a really good segment that we could get into. But yeah, man, let's move into the card on your desk.
Select Justin Jefferson Retail exclusive. You can only get these in blasters or hangers. Silver version. I think he is the best position player that is not a quarterback last year. I think he would have been Rookie of the Year had Herbert not been Herbert.
Yeah.
I also know that if he doesn't perform, he is going to be worthless. So we'll see.
I mean, I'm not going to say if he doesn't perform, he'll be worthless. But if he gets a better quarterback, I mean, Cousins isn't terrible. But if he got a quarterback like Lamar Jackson or something like that, or imagine if they would have, because they were there. Did you hear that they were going to trade up for Justin Fields, but the Bears beat him? Imagine if Justin Fields went there. Oh man, that his value would be insane right now.
I really like Fields. I mean, I know that Fields has some speculation about what his stuff's going to be. I think Fields' stuff's going to be great.
I'm all about it. I think Fields is my guy for this year. If I'm going to collect anything, I want some Field stuff. I mean, of course, if I get a Trevor Lawrence auto, I'm not going to complain. But I would chase more Fields than I would Lawrence.
Where are you at on Mac?
I mean, I guess that tone says it, but I would own his stuff. I think the Patriots are going to be successful. So I think Mac is going to start the season. I just do. Yeah. Here's the thing, man. Belichick's going to be 70 years old soon. So Belichick's not going to wait 2 years for this guy to develop. And Josh McDaniels, at some point is going to be like, sorry, Scam Newton, you're out. He's only making $1 million this year anyway. So it's like, why not have him, put him in as backup? And Cam Newton knows it too. I think Cam Newton knows the system, and out of respect for Belichick and stuff, he's just going to shut his mouth. But
I hope so.
Here's my card on the desk. I got two of these last week. Clayton Kershaw, rookie autos. Beckett 9s, auto his 10 in the autograph. I think when Kershaw retires in a few years, I think his stuff is going to pop. I know we're not really big on pitcher stuff, but just me being a big fan of Kershaw, so I'm not mad if those cards don't pop. I just think Kershaw is the only pitcher that can pop. Him being a Dodger, now winning a World Series, him being the best pitcher of this generation by far, and having an MVP and all that stuff really does matter.
Well, the card companies do some cool stuff with him too. Like they put a lot of dual autos of him and Koufax together.
That's sick.
So I think that plays a role too, because like he's associated with somebody that great, you know.
And I mean talking to Koufax too. I mean he talks to Koufax all the time, and I just think being a Dodger lifer, I think is gonna keep it. I don't know where he'll go next year. He's a free agent, but I hope the Dodgers and him do come up with the deal, because Kershaw says he wants to play beyond next year. So.
It looks like he still has it in him, right?
Oh yeah, I mean his ERA is under 2.8, I think. So through a month and a half of the season, it's definitely. What is your? Let's get into our lifestyle talk of the week, man. This is where we give feedback for you guys listening. These are stuff that we implement and that we do ourselves. So Ken, what is your lifestyle talk of the week? What is your why would you not?
My why would you not is, why would you not once a day get on YouTube and look up a 5-minute guided meditation? Put your phone face down. You don't have to turn it off, because that's hard for some people, but put it face down, do a 5-minute guided meditation. I'm a big fan of breath work. I like the Wim Hof breathing method. You can go do a round of Wim Hof in less than 5 minutes. So if I was to suggest to go look up any one of them, I would go look up Wim Hof guided breathing technique. There's a 15-minute video where he actually does the voicing of it, but you can do just one round in 5 minutes, and I assure you afterwards you will not only, well, here's a good example. So yesterday I had a bunch of stuff going on that was not great. Blood pressure got pretty high. Heart rate resting was like 110. So I just wasn't feeling good. Like I was really stressed out, and I did an ice cold shower, and then I went and did 3 rounds of Wim Hof, and I took my blood pressure after the 3rd round of the Wim Hof method, and it was literally 110/82 with a resting heart rate of 85.
No.
which for me is about right. So in literally 20 minutes, I went from being in a not good physical state to 100% coming back to baseline just by taking a cold shower and doing Wim Hof.
And that puts your anxiety up and everything too. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, it was really bad for a little bit, especially because like the heart rate was just pounding, pounding, pounding.
yeah.
I ate some spices that did not work for me, and for some reason it triggered a histamine response. And when I have histamine responses, my heart rate and blood pressure go crazy.
Wow.
But again, I was able to negate it, not with pharmaceuticals, not with anything that's illegal or any other thing like alcohol. I was able to negate it with breathing technique and cold shower.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a big believer in, like, well, I obviously do the cold showers now regularly, so that's a big routine. Meditation is something that I tried a few years ago. I like the breath work. I think I can't do meditation. I tried it, but I'm a big fan of the breath work, especially like I like doing it when I'm just kind of out walking. It's a big thing that I like to do, but it's the same method, man. When your mind is going and racing, and this is something that I'm not talking about why would you not, but it's like it is definitely a great thing to center yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And
I like it. Have you ever done the Wim Hof stuff? Have you looked into any of that?
I don't know exactly which one I've done. I've used the like Calm app for meditation stuff before. Before the Calm app, I've done other stuff. I can never find my mind to focus that way. I really find my mind focusing on when I'm running, and I think that's just my ADHD. I just can't focus like that. It's always going on different things. But like when I'm running or when I'm walking or doing stuff, like when I'm outside and not in an enclosed environment, it definitely focuses a lot better.
Yeah, the Wim Hof one's pretty interesting if you watch it on YouTube because it actually like inflates a balloon and then when you're supposed to take in the air and then it goes away and then it comes back. So you follow along while he's speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're getting auditory, you're getting the visual, and then you just do what he says. And then when he tells you to do the breath hold, a timer pops up, and like, I mean, I do this weird thing where I'm trying to get to a 3-minute breath hold. I'm struggling with it because it's really hard to get there.
Right.
But, the other day I did 2 minutes and 12 seconds. That was my record so far.
Man, that's pretty good because especially like we know that the breathing is hard. It's just hard. Yeah. Some people think that like it's impossible to get to like that kind of down, but it's really not. It's just more about focusing on it.
Yep.
My why would you not this week is why would you not want to listen to, well, it's more of a podcast recommendation. So I listened to this podcast called The Jordan Harbinger Show. It's all about, he interviews a lot of top performers, generals, FBI, but his podcast is all about learning practical skills. And I listen to it weekly. He has about 3 episodes a week. He has a Tuesday, Thursday episode where he interviews somebody, and he has a feedback Friday where you can send in questions to where they answer it. And he asks the professionals that he's had on in the past for their advice on some stuff, and they give their takes and stuff, which is just really good. So if you have any like questions that you need to answer, like any hard times in your life, you could send them to them and they'll answer it for you, which is great. But I love this show. I was listening to an episode today with Tim Grover, who's Michael Jordan's former trainer, and Jordan and him were really one of the first people to start with training. And some I really never knew, so it's kind of great to listen to it. And he was also Tim Grover was talking about how we create fear in our own minds too much of the times, and how that holds us back to a lot of stuff. We just make up stuff, and it really just holds us back. And, we create this doubt in ourselves. And it was just a good reminder of just being a little bit more mindful of, okay, are we creating this stuff in our minds? So I would definitely go. My recommendation is just to go give it a listen. It's episode 506 on the Jordan Harbinger podcast, the Jordan Harbinger Show. You can go find it on any podcast player. But it's the latest episode with Tim Grover, and just definitely give it a listen. It doesn't matter who you are, but it's a interesting podcast, especially if you're a fan of just sports or whatever. But yeah, man, that's definitely a way to improve your day.
Right on. I like it.
Is there anything else that we need to touch on this week, man?
2021 football is here. We're going to put a break up in the next 5 minutes after we're done.
Nice. That's sick. Oh, yeah. Cool. $25 a spot, you guys. Go out there.
Yep.
Get it. And that's Monday through Thursday, by the way, too. $25. Go out there and get that. You guys can find Ken on Facebook at the Card Shop. And Ken, I'll see you next Tuesday at 9 a.m.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You too, brother.